With the 6th pick in the 2014 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Marcus Smart from Oklahoma State University.
This is Marcus Smart from the Boston Celtics, and you're listening to Drive Time Sports with Jordan Buscarini.
Marcus Smart, what a spin move and a finish! Hard to handle Marcus Smart, whether he's outside or inside the paint.
Welcome back into Drive Time Sports, live from the Sutherland Studios. A lot of basketball talk to get into right now. Prime time for the NBA. Last night, not a great night for the Utah Jazz. They lose to the Portland Trail Blazers. On the flip side of that, the Los Angeles Lakers get a win over the Phoenix Suns. Just not a great night all the way around, I think, when you look at the NBA for the Jazz. However, plenty of time to still get things right. It's so tight right now in the Western Conference. I want to talk about that. We'll also get into college hoops because tonight the Sweet 16 will continue. Joining us right now over the phone to have that basketball talk, we have Tom Perkins. He's an independent NBA scout and also the founder of HoopCityNews.com. Tom, it's great to get you back on. First time we've talked this basketball season, but hey, here we are in the home stretch.
Man, this is a good time, too, because everything gets to be exciting, and everything is magnified, and it's good to hear your voice again, Jordan.
Yeah, it's great to talk, especially with how tight things really are. Tonight, shorter slate of games. We get New York at Orlando, Brooklyn will host Cleveland, Charlotte at New Orleans, Oklahoma City at LA. So a couple of games that are very, very important to the Western Conference playoff chase. But as you said, Tom, everything right now is amplified a bit as we get down to the final 10 games. I don't know really what to make of the Western Conference. I mean, if we would have talked 2 weeks ago, I would have said, okay, the Lakers are a sure-in the way they were playing. There's no way Dallas isn't getting in. Minnesota probably gets in by default. That last spot probably comes down to Oklahoma City, the Jazz, and the Pelicans. I don't know right now. I mean, we're talking about literally a half game or a full game between 7 and 12. Yep. I don't ever recall it being this tight.
Never have it either, and it's all because of weird circumstances and injuries and all kind of weird things going on. I mean, you still don't know if Zion Williamson is going to ever really be back. Maybe ever, I don't know. But as long as he's not back, they're not going anywhere.
So you look at the Jazz, the Lakers, and I guess even the Mavericks. I mean, Dallas and LA had a game last Friday, came down to the wire. Mavericks win on a buzzer beater. Turned out to be a huge game. Both of those squads right now at 36 and 37. Oklahoma City's won 8 out of 10. Really, if we're talking about the bubble teams in the Western Conference, the Thunder have been the best over the last couple of weeks.
And without a doubt, and they really do have a talented team, and they fear no one. They fear no one. So that's what's really important. A lot of times at this time of year, their teams are kind of second-tier teams that, quite frankly, don't want to play certain teams. Not the Thunder, or not Cleveland Cavaliers. Those guys are ready to go. And then, of course, if people forget about Memphis, who lost their big guy, Ja Morant, because of the incident that he was involved in. But now, when he comes back, and then Steve Adams comes back, that's going to be someone to deal with.
Tom, you talk about maybe second-level teams. And in my mind, a second-level team's a squad that's going to get into the playoffs, but nobody really views them as a title threat. And we've put so much emphasis on the play-in round in the Western Conference because obviously the Utah Jazz have been in that race for a while. So if we just look at Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Dallas, LA, Utah, New Orleans, do any of those teams in your mind pose a threat to win the Western Conference championship?
Yeah, I would imagine most of them, if they get on a roll. Now, again, that's that if they get on a roll. But they all know how to play well and beat upper-tier teams. Sure.
It's something I've gone back and forth with because I look at these play-in round teams. I like the idea of Dallas having Luka and Kyrie. I wouldn't want to play that duo, especially in a play-in round where it's a potential one game you lose and you're done. I look at the Lakers. If LeBron James comes back, we know how good LeBron and AD are when they're on the court together, and I thought the front office did a terrific job at the deadline, giving them some supporting, some help, a supporting cast. Minnesota, to me, I'm still kind of bleh on. I like what you said about the Thunder. I look at the Jazz and the Pelicans. I mean, on any given night, those two teams can cause problems. But when I look at a 7-game set, I don't know if I have anyone in the same category as the Mavericks or the Lakers, because winning 4 games, much more difficult than winning 1 game, right? I think if the Lakers and the Mavericks get into the playoffs, that's a problem for Memphis, Sacramento, Phoenix, the Clippers, the Warriors, maybe even the Nuggets. Those 2 teams, I think, have the capability to go far in the Western Conference playoffs if healthy.
Without a doubt. They really do have the ability to go far. But again, it all depends on their style of play, whether they're in rhythm or not, because some of these guys have got to get back in rhythm. I mean, even though they're back, doesn't mean they're back rhythm-wise. You see what I'm saying? So you got to get back and be in rhythm. So those 2 ingredients has to be.
Does LeBron James's injury over the last, I think he's missed now like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 2.5 weeks. Does that worry you at all, or is LeBron at a stage in his career where this is a guy that can just climb back into action and he's not going to miss a beat?
I think he'll probably not miss a beat. He might not play at the level he was, playing before the injury, but he's not going to miss a beat. Plus, it gave the great chance of them unveiling a new guy, Austin Reeves. That kid has really elevated himself, and it's just kind of amazing that due to injuries, certain people have stepped up and certain people have gotten more playing time.
Yeah, I don't think that the statistic that came out last night, I was unaware of this. Austin Reeves becomes the first Los Angeles Laker to average over 30 points per game during a 2-game stretch as an undrafted rookie or an undrafted free agent, right, since the draft era. This is for the Lakers organization. So, I mean, essentially what this stat is telling us, there's never been an undrafted free agent this productive in the history of the Los Angeles Laker organization.
Absolutely, and it just surprises you because if you've seen any of the Laker games, you would know that he's built very slightly. He's not strong. He's kind of quick as far as the first few steps, but this guy has really developed into something. He has got a knack of doing the right kind of things. Reminds me a lot of John Stockton.
Okay, is this a fluke? I mean, I've seen Austin Reeves play now for a couple of seasons. I remember Austin Reeves at college, right? I never would have envisioned this guy being a mainstay in the NBA, but now he's starting for the Lakers. Is this a fluke, or is a $50 million contract, which may be on the books this offseason, is that something that is well-spent money?
I think it's well-spent money. Because the guy's just producing, and he's producing in a big way. I mean, a couple of games, Anthony Davis didn't even show up, and Austin Reeves carried the bill.
Yeah.
So, I think this is it's kind of lucky on Lakers' part, but it's, you have to give Rob Pelinka credit for some of these things that have happened, like, getting D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley. These are the kind of moves that big teams need to make. So, no, I think that they've done a very good job in keeping themselves together.
Again, our guest right now, Tom Perkins of HoopCityNews.com. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Tom, let's move over, look at the Eastern Conference as we get down to the final 10 games of the season. In my mind, it's a 4-team battle. And I think you can make a compelling case for any of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. Maybe Cleveland is a little bit behind. But when you look at Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly, I mean, these are 3 incredible teams. Boston has not played as well as of late. Philly seems to be hitting their stride. Milwaukee getting healthy at the right time. But in my mind, there's something about this Boston Celtic team when healthy. I don't know if there's a better team in the NBA 1 through 11. I think they're that deep. I know that doesn't necessarily matter in the postseason, right? Because we tighten up rotations. But man, there's something about this Celtics team that I like, and they keep calling to me, even though they've given pundits every reason to give up on them at times this season.
Yeah, I think it's a very good analysis. I mean, this team is really special, and they're very, very deep. And so as this Boston Celtics continue to move forward in the playoffs, they can only get stronger. I don't think they're going to go ahead and blow a gasket and suddenly lose 2 or 3 games in a row.
Eastern Conference, Cleveland Cavaliers, legit, or are they a team that's close but not quite there yet?
Yeah, they're probably close but not quite there yet. But again, they can give anybody troubles again because they're very talented again, and they don't ask for any kind of breaks. They just go out and play. So no, that's a little bit of a fluke, but not quite.
Tom, in your mind right now, 2 best teams in the NBA, one from the East, one from the West. It is as simple as saying the Bucks have the best record in the East, so this is the best team out of the Eastern Conference. The Nuggets have the best record in the West, so this is the best team. I mean, if you had to break it down and look at it, in your mind, who's the best team from each conference?
Well, I would say in the Eastern Conference, I would say the Celtics because of their heritage. You can't look past their heritage. They'll know how to defend Antetokounmpo to a certain extent, to maybe a better extent than most. And in the Western Conference, I still have to give Denver the nod because Jokic is playing out of his mind, and he's phenomenal. I mean, he's averaging practically a triple-double. So, and he's very unorthodox, so it's tough. That's a tough out, that Denver team.
See the MVP in your mind, hands down?
I would say the MVP, yes. It's going to be him against Joel Embiid.
You're not putting Giannis in that category. It's a 2-pony race in your mind?
I'm sorry?
2-pony race. Remove Giannis from the equation. It's Embiid. It's between Embiid and Jokic?
Yes, that's what I would say.
Absolutely. It's funny how the MVP of the NBA used to be such a prestigious individual award. I think it still is. But I just remember this award being so much more high-profiled. I mean, late in the season, there was always a lot of talk around it. I don't know if that talk still exists to the extent that it did 10 years ago. I have fun with it.
Well, yeah, normally you attach the MVP to the guy that was on the team with the best record in the NBA, and that's not necessarily so all the time. Although in this particular case, I mean, Boston being number 2 in the East is not necessarily, way behind the best record. It's just about right there. It's actually got a better record than Denver, but it's usually that's where you start with. Who's got the best record, and then you give the MVP in that direction, and so on and so forth.
Tom Perkins, again, our guest right now, independent NBA scout. Tom, we have to talk college hoops. I know that you follow that realm very, very close. We'll be talking about the NBA draft in just a couple of months. We have the Sweet 16 getting underway tonight. 4 great games starting, already underway. Michigan State, Kansas State, and then at 5:15 tonight we get Arkansas at UConn, Florida Atlantic at Tennessee, and then the nightcap may be the best game potentially of the tournament. I mean, we're looking at Gonzaga and UCLA. This is a 2-3 matchup, and things have kind of changed in that absolutely brutal West bracket due to Arkansas upsetting Kansas. Gonzaga, UCLA tonight. Again, I think this has the potential of being the best game in the entire tournament.
I think it could be because, again, Gonzaga's got a great history, and so does UCLA, but let's say you have to push it closer to the wooden ear. But UCLA's got a good, and they've got a great coach. Their coach is really awesome. Cronin has given them some real identity as far as being very mindful and strong in their personality. So they play a strong game.
At the beginning of the year, going back to October, I thought UCLA would win the national championship, and I backed that up with the idea of they defend so well, right? So when we talk about the NCAA tournament, there are teams that can score points in bunches, but it's typically the teams that defend well that go the furthest. And, I mean, regardless of what the reputation is of the Pac-12, Cronin's done a terrific job of installing defense here with this UCLA team, and they're gritty on that end of the floor. That's why I like the Bruins. That's why I've liked them all year. Yeah,
I think that's a good reason to like them, too, because of the fact that They have played very consistent ball, and they play very well on the defensive end. That's what's really important, and that's what it's all about in the NCAA. Is you've got to play defense, and if you play defense, you can have a bit of an off night offensively and still win.
Tomorrow, we have the back half of the Sweet 16. Alabama, still a 1 seed. They take on San Diego State. Houston, a 1 seed, takes on Miami. So 2 1-5 matchups. Creighton against Princeton, who has become probably the best story of the NCAA tournament, a 15 seed in the Sweet 16. And then we get Texas Xavier. I like the games tonight better than tomorrow, but you can't overlook the fact that we get a 15 and a 6 going toe-to-toe for the right to get to the Elite Eight. How great is that?
That is awesome, and those schools haven't seen that kind of thing for years, and that's a really great thing for those schools because it shows anybody's got a chance.
A lot of brackets have been busted, I know, at this point in time. Tom, you can reset. Sweet 16, who do you like to win the national championship?
Well, at this point in time, I think it's going to be either UCLA or Gonzaga. That's what I think.
Winner of tonight's game wins a national championship?
Yep.
Hard to argue. It really is. I think tonight has the all the ingredients of being one of the best games of the tournament. Again, Tom Perkins of Hoop City News talking with us right now. Tom, it is always a pleasure to get you on the show. Before I let you go, of course, we got to talk about the website and the content.
Yes. Hoop City News now, we're about 14 years old. 14 years in, we've read in 23 countries, and we're getting more and more readership, and it's very it's very satisfying to me personally. Like, I get comments from parents all the time when their 8, 9, 10-year-old child is reading my website, and it actually has improved their reading ability. So that's a very satisfying thing to me because I always write my articles that are grammatically correct in every way, syntax, the whole 9 yards, and I never use expletives because there's no need to use expletives when you don't need to, you know. So I'm very satisfied with that. So I hopefully we'll branch out even more in the years to come.
Tom, great to get you back on the show. Enjoy tonight's games. Enjoy the Sweet 16, and I'm sure we'll catch up again here relatively soon. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And listen, I'm so glad that we're back together again. It's like the old band getting back together.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We'll do it again real soon, Tom. Looking forward to it.
All righty. We'll talk to you soon.
We're going to pause one more time. More Drive Time Sports coming up when we return. We're here on 107.3 FM and 750 AM. 750 AM. 750 AM.